Thank you. Mr. Salman Barni, President PSTD, fellow speakers, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me to talk today. It is, as I stand here, somewhat daunting to see this room so full, and I think it is a sign of the times, and it is, I think, a very appropriate subject on which we are meeting today. I'm sure there are a lot of people here who know this subject and know the issues much better than I do, but I will just share some of my thoughts as I have seen some of these issues work out at the workplace as we ourselves have tried to develop our organization in which women have played a very important and critical role over the years, and what I've seen in other countries. An old Chinese proverb that women hold up half the sky has long been more aspiration than fact. In developed and developing countries alike, gender gaps persist in education, health, work, wages, and political aspiration. This is actually an extract from a report by Goldman Sachs as late as 2008. And this certainly holds true for Pakistan, where almost 49% of the population is unable to contribute equally to economic and social growth, largely as a result of gender inequality. Although over the last decade, over the last 3 decades, we have made and seen steady improvement in Pakistan, with women enjoying greater economic opportunities, and I guess this seminar is, indicates that. And a few exceptional women like, Shahid Benazir Bhutto, Dr. Shamshad Akhtar, have made a global impact despite immense challenges. Clearly, there is room for much more to be done. The conference title, Shaping the Workplace Together, presents an extremely important concept. I believe that building a conducive environment for women is in the self-interest of every organization and can create a competitive advantage for them. An organization that can attract and retain talented women is at a significant advantage. And these advantages are quite sort of self-obvious. You double the talent pool from which you can recruit. Equally importantly, you bring diversity of thinking and mindset in the organization. Men and women do think differently and respond to situations differently. They bring a different perspective to the same issue. In my experience, my women colleagues, they're generally more intuitive, perhaps more patient, and better at multitasking. Maybe because they have to make much more of an effort to balance work and family life. All of these factors qualitatively improve the effectiveness and decision-making in an organization, and a good manager can use such diversity to great advantage. Research in the UK has shown that increasing representation of women on the corporate boards of several FT 100 companies has, for example, allowed these corporations to have better long-term business strategies, products, and management systems. And above all, it has strengthened their corporate governance standards. And this was fairly comprehensive research done over the last few years. Again, contrary to general perception, and importantly, if the organization has the right environment, women can be more stable employees than men. Generally, there are multiple factors that motivate them rather than just one factor, like whether it's money or position being dominant. Turnover may also be lower, perhaps presently due to lack of opportunities. Again, an opportunity for a smart organization. Our own experience at BMA Capital with women colleagues has been very positive. We set precedents at the Karachi Stock Exchange by having the first professional woman sales trader at the trading floor in the early 90s. Currently, our head of international equities and head of corporate strategy and business development are women. They are not only highly competent, but have been with us for many years now. On a slightly lighter note, one of them said to me the other day that, unfortunately, most firms will always prefer hiring men, particularly married men. So I asked her why. And she said that because married men are used to obeying orders, are accustomed to being shoved around, know how to keep their mouth shut. So maybe that's one reason why men are more dominant in the workplace. Anyway, there are a number of genuine issues that are barriers to women's advancement and need to be addressed in the workplace. I'm sure these will be discussed in more detail in the conference and solutions debated. Some of these issues, to my mind, are how to balance work and family life. It's a very obvious one, perhaps. But this is generally exacerbated by the lack of a support system both at home as well as at the workplace. Attitude of male colleagues and family members in a conservative society. Perhaps an inappropriate skill set because women may focus on or be guided by their families and parents to focus on educational or vocational areas which are not sought after in the corporate sector. Limited access to professional networks. So conferences like these, I think, are important in not only allowing women to network, but also providing role models. However, to my mind, the most important issue remains that how does an organization and a professional woman cope successfully with possible disruption in a career due to children. Successfully coping with this requires support at multiple levels, individual, family, and very importantly, at the workplace. In many parts of the world, these issues have been addressed and things have improved tremendously. But it is important to remember that even in the most developed economies, issues remain and keep a complete equality of opportunity is still some distance away. So even in the US and the UK, for the same jobs, men are generally paid higher than women. So I think it's important to remember this, that it is a long road. There are a lot of issues and roadblocks on the way. And as an organization moves forward, it must not let setbacks frustrate the effort. Recognizing that the proverbial glass ceiling or this concrete ceiling for women does exist in the corporate sector is perhaps the most important first step in creating the right workplace. And this can be addressed by, firstly and very importantly, complete commitment from the organizational leadership to build the female talent pipeline, organizations fully integrating diversity into their culture and HR policies, and a recruitment process that recognizes and values the talent and differences that women bring to the organization. And I think finally, on a macro level, an updated and comprehensive regulations and employment regulations which address issues like maternity leave, etc. It may be instructive for me to share some examples of policies and initiatives that have been taken by OICCI member companies to create a conducive work environment for women. I believe that many of these best practices can be successfully adopted by other organizations in Pakistan. Many such companies are on the panels today, so I'm sure they will talk in more detail about these initiatives. Organizations such as Procter & Gamble, Shell, Unilever provide daycare facilities, paid maternity leave in many cases for husbands and wives, medical insurance for children, and flexible working hours for working mothers. This has helped retain many talented women and helped the women to continue with their careers. Another example, the global mandate for Unilever states that state actually specifies the minimum level of women representation in all their group companies. So for example, in Pakistan, out of the 5 vice presidents, 1 is a woman, and out of 3 brand managers, 3 are women in Unilever Pakistan. I think one note of caution, we are presently in the middle of an unprecedented global recession. Many of the initiatives that I've highlighted and will be discussed later in the day are very easy to push through and sustain when times are good. The danger is that they get sidelined when times are tough. So we must guard against this and stay focused on the long-term advantages, but perhaps that may be easier said than done. To conclude, I'll quote a good friend and an exceptional example of a professional woman in Pakistan, Musharraf Hai, who's the ex-chairman of Levers here in Pakistan, who strongly believes that regardless of the gender, empowerment is self-acquired, and all it needs is high self-conviction, clarity of objective, and a passion for what you do. So I guess, while the workplace is evolving and becoming more conducive, we can all still get ahead. Thank you very much.